Greetings, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Living on Music. I'm Steve Hauk. And what's been wonderful about this amazing journey I've been able to do with Living on Music is when we started the show 3 years ago via the Zebra Press, Alexandria Zebra Press, run by the amazing Mary Wadland, the publisher and leader, and really an incredible person. I've known them for years, and we started ZTV right in the pandemic. And that's when I started Living on Music to engage musicians and myself, and interviewed some of the most incredible local musicians you could find right at the beginning of the show. The Dave Chappells, the Patty Reeses, the Eric Scotts, the Tommy Lepsons, Scott Kurt, the amazing country Americana mainstay, a buddy of mine in TV years ago, was my first musical guest on Living on Music. Anyway, it's been an amazing run of almost all of the local legends and up-and-comers and mainstays, as well as across the world legends. But to be able to do it with folks around here, and to even be able to do it with people from Alexandria is fabulous. And ladies and gentlemen, yes, Robert Gabriel is the guest on Living on Music for this episode. He's been playing music in this area for about 40 years, R&B, country, swing, and blues. Produced a CD with a band called The Spoilers, with his brother on drums. And the style of the band, the swingabilly, but he's been playing for years, and his father was a U.S. Air Force band commander and conductor, and started doing amazing things with those bands, which are some of the best in military history of the Air Force bands. Created the guest artist band thing that they have with the Air Force, where they have celebrities coming in. They had amazing people back in the day, and amazing people now. They still do it, and that's because of his father. And his mother was also a jazz vocalist, violinist. She was also a musical part, so gave him all this. Played music, was doing things over the years, met his lovely wife, Sarah. They had triplets, 2003. All those kids are in college now. He has a little bit of freedom. He loved every second of being with those kids, I am sure. But now he's got a chance to do what he's about to do, and that's join a national touring act called John Paycheck and the Calvary. Johnny Paycheck was his father, John Paycheck's father, one legend of country music. Was an incredible country music guy in the 70s and 80s, did hits, was on Hee Haw, was Grand Ol Opry. He played right down here on the stage, and this was the stage from Grand Ol Opry before they moved it in Nashville not long ago. But Johnny Paycheck also had a very, very challenging and in some ways dangerous and tragic life. He was able to get through it, and had his kids, and one is his amazing son, John Paycheck. And John Paycheck, new record coming out, was in the Army, and an incredible guy as a helicopter fighter pilot, and did tours in Afghanistan and the Middle East. Recently retired out of it after that distinguished career. Has a numerous list that we can talk about of things that he has done and can do in his life. And one is a musician, and he's touring. It's beginning in spring. And who's his bass player? Robert Gabriel of Alexandria. So that is where we're going to talk about his life, and also this incredible opportunity for a guy, who in his 60s still could play music very well and all over here, and probably will. But he's going to go on a national tour with a well-known country artist. Let's talk to him about it. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, please welcome to Living on Music, Robert Gabriel. Rob Gabriel, welcome to Living on Music, man.
Good to be here.
Yay.
Appreciate it.
I'm so glad to have you. It was wonderful to hear from you, and also through Mary Wadland at the Zebra, to talk about somebody who not only has been doing music for a long time in his life, and was influenced greatly by dad and mom, but also we'll talk about that, but also has a very exciting current project to go through. We're going to hit a little bit of the past, present, and future world of Rob Gabriel, and I can't wait. But yeah, I really look forward to this. Let's talk initially a little bit about where, what the project is coming up with John Paycheck, whose father Johnny was a legend in the country world and had a wild and woolly life, but also was an incredible success at the beginning. Take this job and shove it and all that. Let's talk a little bit about how you met up with his son, John Paycheck, and then what the current project is for Rob Gabriel.
Great. Well, I had sort of backed away because of COVID. Everybody backed away from everything. And I decided, well, I'm not playing a whole lot. I was in two bands, one straight country band, just like Hee Haw generation stuff.
Right.
And also I was in a rockabilly band, two different bands that I would play bass in and manage both of them, and did all the bookings, and I was burned out. So I was sort of thankful for COVID. During COVID, it was about 3 years that I told the bands I'm not booking anymore.
Sure.
Nobody's hiring and everything else. So I decided, you know what? I've been playing bass for many, 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 many years. So I figure what I always want to do is be a jazz guitar player in a band of Sinatra, Ella Fitzgerald, Blossom Fury, with singers out front, kind of a band.
Right.
So I've taken lessons and I've been playing them. I've been playing about 3 years and getting the rhythm down pretty well. I was taking lessons from this guy, Christian Perez, who was just this fabulous guitar player. He's a professor at Nova.
Nice.
Anyway, so just right as COVID hit, John Paycheck and I were talking about doing it. And then because of COVID, we kind of fell out, and I figured, well, he's not going to do anything because nobody's hiring, nobody's doing anything, nobody's really knowing what's going on.
How were you initially in touch with John?
He ran an ad on Facebook, which he's doing now for a guitar player, and in Craigslist, and it said, National Touring Act is looking for musicians. And I thought, my kids are all in college. My wife Sarah and I have triplets.
Yes. When I saw that, I was like, we're talking about the triplets in a minute for sure.
All right. But they're in college, and we've moved from Fairfax to Alexandria North Old Town, and I'm retired, except for music, and this is a good time. Anyway, so fast forward through COVID, 3 years later, I was on Facebook and John messaged me. He goes, might you still be interested in doing it? And I was like, well, hell yeah. But then I said, I've been playing, I haven't touched the bass in 3 years, but I've been playing for 40, so it wasn't tough to pick it back up. Right. So I said, yeah. So he was just at that time putting let's see, was that in the, I guess about 3 years ago, my daughter, that's what it was. My daughter and I went down to Nashville and watched him record with some of the just, Willie Nelson's fiddle player and all these big name guys. And he mixed all the album out and everything, and then COVID hit, and then we did nothing with it. Again, fast forward 3 years, he's got another album out that he sent me, and it blew my socks off. I was stunned. It really, I was sort of a left-handed compliment. I didn't think it'd be that good, but it's not even out yet. It's being mastered as we speak, and not sure when it'll come out, but soon.
Now, John is the son of Johnny Paycheck, right?
Johnny Paycheck.
And Johnny Paycheck has had an esteemed career, performed on world tours, Hee Haw, which I love, as we talked a minute ago about Take the Job and Shove It, which was very well pronounced, grabbed back in the day. It had many country hits in the 70s and 80s. Also a very tough run on a number of different ways, but again, came out of it. Did John Paycheck play music early because of his dad?
Well, actually, he was, I don't know exactly, but I know at one point he was his road manager,
Oh, wow.
business manager at one point. As a teenager, he was
Wow.
really, really baptized in the in that life.
Right.
Matter of fact, I saw a little shot of a video of John Paycheck, and in the background you can see young John, I mean, and I called him up. Is that you? And he goes, yeah, that's me, that's me. But yeah, he worked, in the business.
Right.
Um,
And then he went into the army as a helicopter fighter pilot.
yeah, yeah.
Ooh.
No, yeah, I'm not sure when he did, but that was I mean, he's my hero. I mean,
Yeah, in Afghanistan and the Middle East, and but now is out of the service after this distinguished career. And it seems, is he going full bore on music again?
100%. He's retired just about 2 weeks
Yes.
ago. He
Oh,
is 100% all in. He bought, I think it's Dale Watson's, or it might be Gene Watson. I think maybe it's Gene Watson. I confused the two.
right.
I should. He bought his tour bus,
Oh,
and sure enough, it runs great, and I had some work done on it. And he said, I'm looking for a drummer, and Watson said, well, why don't you take my bus driver? He's also a drummer.
oh my God.
I swear. So we've got him in the ranks too.
Oh, I mean, he's that quote that I got in some pre-notes for this chat with you was young John, the son saying, loving traditional country music is one thing, experiencing it with 4 or 5 friends on that stage, everyone locked and synced together. So it sounds like this is going to be a really exciting time for a guy who clearly has talent, I would think. The talented part of his dad, hopefully. And that is exciting. And so but fast forwarding again to what you were talking about, you and John hooked up, and then what was the next step going forward?
Well, he said everybody in the band's got to have 2 jobs. So I was hired. Pardon me. I was hired as not only the bass player but the musical director. So,
Nice.
yeah, with my dad's experience, I was always next to my dad too.
Right.
What I have to do is basically learn everybody's part, make sure everybody comes in at I don't want to say the conductor, but I need to make sure that everybody knows what they're doing.
Oh,
Um,
neat. That's a neat role to have.
yeah, yeah. So he's given us a set of some cover songs, and a bunch of his really good, man. That new album, I can't say enough about it. It's so good. I can't wait to start playing
Is
that
there a
stuff.
name on it, Rob? Do you know?
I don't know yet.
Okay.
I'm not sure
Great.
but if you go to johnpaycheck.com, I think
Oh,
you can
yeah.
buy the first one. The second one is probably not even up yet because I think it's being mastered now. Like I said,
Fantastic.
I don't know. But yeah, and like I said, I've got a set list, about an hour and a half set, and then we're always adding to it.
Moonlit night, horseback high, where you'll find country soul. Where did our country go? Turned our backs and she was gone. Pop stars and false troubadours is all they know. Stole it from our legends long ago. Long ago.
We'll be. I've talked to. He's got. John told me he's got a couple of booking agents already. I've talked to one woman named Sarah, and she's just a fantastic lady. And she's already said, "Look, get ready, get ready because we're going on the road in the
Oh,
spring, late winter or early spring sometime.
oh
Yeah.
my God. Congratulations, man.
Oh,
That's
thank
great.
you.
I know that means a lot. And when we go back into your world a little bit, it'll be even more amplified because of your love of music yourself and how you got into it. One thing you did send me this piece about John Paycheck and not only this Army helicopter fixed wing pilot, combat veteran guy, but firefighter, civil servant, computer engineer, small business owner, comic book collector, board game nerd, rodeo lover, horse lover, whiskey drinker, and he's a country music guy. He's got to drink whiskey or something.
Of
But
course.
so it sounds like the guy's got a real swath of things in life, and that you're really hooking up with somebody fun here.
Yeah, terrific guy too. Just a real, family guy, which I really like. I like the family guy.
Yeah.
He met his wife in the army. Sam is her name. She's terrific. They have daughters, and yeah, no, he's just John is really looking for people. He's looking for sort of a family to put on the road. He wants friends on the road. It's a business. We understand that, but you have to be a nice person. He won't hire anybody. You don't want to. You got to spend a lot of time on a bus with somebody.
Yeah, absolutely.
You
And this works for your family too, because you'll be gone for in and out for probably what, a couple of months?
Well, right
Month?
now I have we haven't been booked yet, but I have a feeling we'll probably go out for long weekends, Thursday through Sunday,
Perfect.
Monday, come back,
Perfect.
within a couple of hundred miles of the place. But he's already talking to people to do the agents to do the lower states and into Texas. And so that'll take us, but that may be 2025, 2025 after a while. But
Rob, look at you
I know, right?
touring, and who knows, if maybe you'll end up here behind me at the Ryman in Nashville, as we both
That would
know
be
and love and have been there. And that's where obviously Johnny Paycheck, the father, played as part of his wonderful part of his career. And it's just wonderful. This was handed down, seemingly handed right down to his son. And after a wondrous army run, he's back doing it, and you are a part of it. I absolutely love that. Let's, if we may, talk a little bit about Rob Gabriel's world,
okay.
because I want to, talk a little bit about how you got to where you are. I know that it was, Air Force brat, which I've got a number of friends. My ex-wife was part of that with her father, who was, I believe, Navy, and moved all over the place. But in 1955, you're born. In 58, he's the commander and conductor, and you're a little boy, and he is a commander and conductor of the U.S. Air Force Band, which, what a reputation that I've learned about thanks to you, researching this and you and everything, is what a reputation for the U.S. Air Force Band. Did you feel that as a little boy when he was doing that?
I did.
Right.
I just knew, my dad was something special. He brought so much to the band. I remember being in Europe and before the being at the Berlin Wall at the Brandenburg Gate,
Oh,
and my dad, the band playing right at the Brandenburg Gate, and then he lined us kids up, and I've got that picture somewhere of
yay.
us right at the line, and behind it says Achtung.
Oh,
My dad says, "You boys do not step back. Whatever you do, and you see German soldiers there with machine guns by. It was me. I was
wow.
like, some 5-year-old, 8-year-old, whatever I was.
Wow. Where were you born, Rob?
I was born in upstate New York.
Oh, you were.
Yeah, in an Air Force base called Sampson Air Force Base, which has been decommissioned or whatever they call it in the Air Force. So
Right.
I'm Aldous Huxley calls me an unperson because I really don't. There's no Sampson Air Force Base anymore.
Right. Was there a lot of moving as a young boy?
Oh, there was, yeah. My first recollections of life actually were Wiesbaden, Germany, where we had the United States Air Force band in Europe.
Oh, right.
At Wiesbaden Air Base. Yeah, and that was my first recollections of life.
Oh, I
And then
bet.
from there we went. We're in, like I said, Samson. It's actually Geneva. The
Yeah.
town is Geneva, New York. And then
No, yep.
and then down in we went to Tidewater, Virginia.
Right.
I think I don't know, maybe a year, and then Europe for 5 years. And again, my first recollections of life.
Wow. You're 8 years old, and he's the commander conductor of the Air Force Academy Band, right? Which is
Right.
pretty awesome. And that
That was
seems to be the era around that time in your life when you first started playing music. And I know piano and clarinet were first.
That's exactly right. Yeah, my mom taught piano, and my dad taught clarinet. And I'm to be honest, I really wish I'd have stayed with the piano, but you know,
That's
um, I
that's
got a little
great.
bit older. I got a little bit older, and I saw the Beatles on Ed Sullivan, actually in Colorado at the Air Force Academy, and I was like stunned. And my dad was like, going, "What's with their hair?" You know, I mean,
Right, exactly. What is that going on? I was three
and I
years
was
old.
like, "Well, yeah, that's terrible." I'm thinking to myself, "That's cool."
I was three, but I swear I remember it. I remember seeing that show. Because obviously became such a massive fan and admirer of those guys too. You saw the Beatles. That is probably one of, gosh, maybe half or three quarters of the guests I've had on Living on Music of the eras that would be within that have said that hit me so hard because it was so wonderfully created, and also you looked at them and you're like,
Right.
look at those guys. You were in school bands growing up too, and
Yeah.
playing some percussion.
Percussion, seventh and eighth grade. We at that point, I guess we had moved to Alexandria, South Alexandria, Fairfax County,
Yeah,
down to Mount Vernon. I went to Mount Vernon High School, that area.
yeah,
And yeah, I was in bands for a while as a percussionist, and I got a drum set, through my father and all the rest of that. And then I started picking up the guitar a little bit more because I had a buddy who was a drummer and another buddy who was a drummer. So I mean, what am I going to do with that?
right,
So,
exactly.
so I started playing guitar, and I played guitar for about 10 years. And then
Yeah,
I was noodling around with some local guys, and I happened to have bought a bass for some reason. And he said, we could really use a bass player in this band. And I thought, well, all right. And so I started playing a bunch of blues and Howlin' Wolf and the Muddy Waters and that kind of stuff. And I just loved it. I just loved it. I never turned back. Never went back to the guitar.
what year? How old were you when you started playing bass? 30?
It was about 1985
5?
or so.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, that's incredible. Boy, that's wonderful that you picked that up after kind of starting your role with the other instruments and stuff like that. You were 9 and you moved to the DC area, as you said. The father took the military U.S. Air Force band at Boiling Air Force Base, which had to be, because that's another lauded military band, if not one of the greatest of all. He started the guest artist series.
Correct.
Who did he bring in? Do you remember some of the
my
people?
gosh. Oh my gosh. Shirley Temple,
Oh,
Buck Owens and the Buckaroos,
oh,
um, Jerry Lewis, William Conrad. They became very close friends.
wow.
Doc Severinsen from Tonight Show Band.
Yes.
There are, he did concerts. Oh, and what it was, if you were an actor and you did a musician, you'd obviously play with a band. And if you were an actor and didn't have any, there's a bunch of pieces of music that you would narrate, something like Timmy Discovers Christmas, or they would do talk over
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
that's spectacular. And
oh
it's
my gosh, I met so many people, so
really,
many famous people. Got my picture taken with a bunch of them. Oh yeah.
oh,
It was
fantastic.
a great, it was, I was 7th and 8th grade up through high school, and I'm running around backstage with Manhattan Transfer and just so many people, bunch of jazz people, Bucky Pizzarelli and Joe Morello on drums, just so many famous people. It was fun,
and it's something that's going today. Still,
it's continue. They still do it. Yeah.
I mean, the fact that he started that and it's still going, almost 60 years later. I mean, that's spectacular. I love that. You were influenced, you said too, by your father because of the diverse styles of the Air Force Band, the symphonic, the concert band, the things like the superlative jazz band, the Max Impact thing. What started to melt into yourself as you started to get it more into music? Was jazz the way you wanted to go? Was band kind of music, like they were playing, or rock and roll? What was your leaning in?
Yeah, I always, it's funny. I always lean toward the rock and roll, the Hendrix and the Who and the Beatles, of course, and all those bands. But deep down inside, I loved country music from the 60s and 70s, but I could never admit it to my friends. We all had hair down to here, and I could never admit to it, because they would just give me so much hell. So I used to sneak down into my mom's sewing room, a little black and white TV, and turn Hee Haw on and watch, make sure nobody saw me, and then I'd scoot out of there. I would see Buck Owens and Merle Haggard and Willie Nelson and of course Cash and all these people.
Well, that's a wild thing. When I was and we're close to, I was born in 61, so we're relatively close. Sure. And we're growing up in Wilton, Connecticut. We became Southern rock fanatics in high school. So there's that country edge to Southern rock, obviously, but there's nothing like it. I just saw Dwayne Betts and Devin Allman play at the Capital One Hall, and it was
absolute favorite band from the 60s. Everybody thinks, the Who, the Beatles, Allman Brothers. And then after that, it was Little Feat.
Yes, absolutely.
Favorite bands, and then after that, I went straight to country.
we share that greatly. I was a massive fan of Little Feat as well. I interviewed Paul Barrere about 6 months before he passed, and that was incredible. And I've interviewed Greg Allman, and I mean, the heroes of Southern rock to me. I was a massive Skynyrd fan. I saw them 3 months before their plane crashed. Marshall Tucker. I've interviewed Doug Gray, and I'm supposed to get Paul Riddle soon. But that's a neat thing, because that kind of says if you want to have a country feel, you can go country or Southern rock. But you were country. You were countrying. Quick thing I wanted to mention too is your mom, concert pianist, jazz vocalist, violinist. That is wonderful. Now, did she keep music going in her life throughout, off and on, or did she kind of just let it wane a little bit?
Well, she had 5 kids, so she was a stay-at-home mom. And she learned to speak Spanish, and she didn't just sit around eat bonbons.
Wow.
But matter of fact, I still have her guitar and her violin. That piano I couldn't take; it's too big.
So you have four brothers and sisters.
I have I have Mike, Steve, Rob, Joanne, and Chris.
Very nice. Oh my God. Well, so the music would have to wane a little bit with the 5 children. They had met though. They had met at Ithaca, which I know very well. Started my TV career in upstate New York, and many friends from Wilton, and friends went to Ithaca. But that's wonderful, and I love that your mom loved those people like Ella Fitzgerald and Dean Martin and Sarah Vaughan, which all influenced you.
Totally. I love that stuff too. I just love it. I can't say that,
Yeah.
I wish I was a better guitar player. I just wish that I'm just not, but go with your strengths. I'm a better bass player.
Right.
So speaking of that, when Paycheck and John and I were talking about him hiring me to do this and all the rest of that, I said, well, I guess I had to probably pick out, get my string bass back out and start, boning up on it. He goes, we're going to be on a tour bus and there may not be room for that. Would you mind going to electric bass? And I almost like kissed him on the lips. Hell, you bet. I would, because that, dragging that thing around is just, I mean, it's hard,
Oh yeah, that's
But
classic.
I got my 76 Fender P bass out, and I've been playing that for months now, and I'm loving it.
Oh, I bet you are. Talking just a little bit about your band experience in this region and everything. I know that you put together an R&B and soul band. Was that one of the first bands that you molded?
Right. That was back in 1980, 85.
Right.
Around there.
Right.
We were called Marked Deck.
Marked
like,
deck. Okay.
Marked like a deck of cards that's been marked.
Oh yeah, marked deck. Sure.
Yeah, everybody would come. Hey, which one of you is marked? So it wasn't good. It was not a bad band. We had complete full horn sections and piano player, harmonica player. There was probably 8 of us in the band, and working for like $150. We'd go home with $12.
Right. Exactly. It's spread that money among many people. You get a little bit of it, but that must have been fun to put something together.
It was fun
to do. You were hired into a band that I love the title, Lady Ice and the Titanics.
The Titanics, yeah.
What were they? You played Baltimore, Annapolis, Richmond. That sounds like a neat run.
Yeah, a woman named Larissa she was a vocalist, not a bad vocalist, but she was smart. She would hire the best guitar players, the best piano player, the best Jeff Lotson on drums, Scott Mattern, a local guitar player who was just really, to this day, one of my favorite guitar players. And she said, Rob, who should I hire? I said, you should hire Jeff Lotson. You should hire, Scott Mattern and all these other people, and
sure.
Then she hired me, and I thought, oh, well, that was nice.
Yeah, really.
But yeah, and good band. It was just a really good band. Now, we weren't around for too much. I don't know what happened, but
right. What was the genre? Was it
jump blues?
That's what I was going to think. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Shifting gears for 1 second, when did you meet your lovely bride, Sarah Dent, and then you got married in 1999, and 4 years later, the triplets.
That's right.
When did you meet?
We met in, I think, 90. I should know this.
That's okay. Close enough.
Yeah, we met in 96. And dated for a while, and then 99 we were married. 2 weeks after we met, I knew we were going to get married. I just knew it, and she did too. We just, it was just destined, I think I shouldn't say this, but 2 weeks after we met, we had keys to each other's places. I mean, it was that. We just knew it, and we've been together now 20 some years.
Oh, fantastic! And 4 years after you got married, now triplets happen all over the world, but it is not something you hear about every day at all. And now that had to be an incredible experience to have 3 tiny little babies and now amazing children that are what, and 20 years old now.
20, all in college, doing great. It was just nothing we expected.
Oh my God.
But bang, and then what do you do? Well, at that point I had a band going on. I forgot who it was, what band it was, but I said, guys, I got things to do, So for 3 years, I didn't play music at all. I mean, I played, but I didn't go out and I didn't perform.
Right.
And then after the kids got to be 3, my wife and I at the time were go-getters. We're both really go-getters. And so we had not only a picture framing company, which is what I did part-time as a musician.
Okay.
I could do that when I wasn't playing music. And my wife loved that. So I taught her the biz. And then we got, for some reason, decided we should do a shipping business, because some people around Christmas are saying, we want to ship this frame, da, 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 da. So we eventually bought a UPS store.
Right.
It was mailboxes, etc. But then UPS bought them. Long story. So we had those two things going, and then we got pregnant with triplets, and we're like, okay, oh, now what do we do? Yeah, that's right. So we sort of decided, well, here's what we're going to do. My wife's going to go get a real job. We sold the two businesses off, and I stayed home with the kids. Stayed home father for the last 20 years, and played music at the same time.
Great.
So,
Oh, that's
yeah.
wonderful. You kept up with it. I love that you did that too. In your musical development, though, over time, you started putting together other bands. You put together one with your brother on drums called the Spoilers.
Oh, yeah. Local Alexandria band, really good. The band was really good. They're called the Spoilers.
Yeah, blues R&B.
And we put a video out as well as a 5-song EP, I guess it's called an extended play.
Yeah, that's Swingabilly, right?
What's that?
Swingabilly?
Swingabilly, right? It's sort of a combination of blues and a touch of rockabilly and swing. It was such a fun band.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Actually, my favorite band
Oh,
out of all the ones I've been in.
You put your arms right here on his neck. You comb your hands right back to his head. You look into his eyes just to let him know your love is true. You press your lips right here to his cheek. You shower him with baby kisses. You two be real and rock and roll until the break of dawn. He puts his hand right here around your waist. He strokes your lily white skin till it aches. You whisper something sweet and tender inside, real close, real deep. You moan and think, oh my God, here it comes. Here comes a kiss, but long for you know that boy been kissing on your lips like there's no tomorrow.
And leading up to the pandemic, were you playing then and in that band or in other bands leading up?
No, it was a band called I think it was called Billy and Bob Classic Country Classic Country Band.
My new home has a flashing neon sign. Stop by and see me anytime you want to. 'Cause I'm always here at home till closing time. Yes, I'm always here at home till closing time. Thank you.
And then that was my straight ahead country, classic country. And I was also in a band called the Cadillac Romeos.
Oh,
Yeah, that was the rockabilly band. That was a good band too. Yeah, we played both bands played a lot.
wow.
Yeah, I would just sit all day long, and I mean, from 8 in the morning until 8 at night on days I wasn't playing, and book. You know. So,
Oh man. Well, you know what? Talking about this history of your music, the coming off of your parents with the amazing experiences with them and the way the music's kind of settled into your soul.
Yeah.
And then look in 2023 and into 2024, Rob Gabriel's touring with John Paycheck. I mean, you must feel ecstatic.
oh my gosh, it's something what I wouldn't say most, but many musicians are, really have been, that's your target.
Yes.
But I figured, I sort of missed the boat. It's not going to happen. And then John gives me a little PM on Facebook, would you still like to do it? I'm like, well, sure. Perfect timing too, because the kids are now, up and
Yes.
gone. My wife and I have downsized to,
Sure.
to a little smaller place up here
Yes.
in Alexandria, and it just really just synced.
No, that's spectacular, Rob. I love that. And I love what
Thanks.
colleges are your three at?
University of Colorado,
Yeah.
University of Virginia Tech,
Yep.
and then those are my two boys, and then my daughter's at a fashion design school called LIM. It's in downtown Manhattan. She's right.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh,
They're all doing great. They're all doing great.
well, they're doing great, and the timing is just right for Daddy. Because you spent that entire life, I'm sure, being an incredible father to those three, and then boom, they're in college, and here he goes on his tour. Well, look, I want to keep in close touch when you start weaving right into the beginnings of this. Have there been rehearsals so far planned? Or
a few.
Great.
John and I have gotten together to make sure I've got all the lyrics and the changes down, and some that are not quite right, I come home, fix them. And I'm going out to his place tomorrow, as a matter of fact, out near Leesburg, and we're going to hash through a couple of more songs and make sure I've got it all, and make sure I've got the changes and the lyrics all for everybody else in the band. So if somebody comes in, just drop the music. There you go. Learn these 35 or 40, 50 songs, whatever it is,
Oh, spectacular. Well, I'm going to be really, really curious and excited to hear how that tour and that part of your life goes, because, man, you should feel incredibly, as we just talked about, incredibly happy, because this is something over time that seems to be something that is just wonderfully coming into your life. And I'm sure you're going to do great. And look, thanks a lot for being on Living on Music.
Thank you for having me, Steve. I really appreciate it.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And again, congratulations. Best to John, best to Sarah and your three. And hopefully we'll keep in close touch.
Tell me how much do you play musically here?
Well, I play a lot. It's unbelievable, man. I started singing when I was 46 years old. So it was about 17 years ago. It'll be 18 years ago I started singing, because I never did it before and I wanted to. And it has exploded. I have 6 gigs in the next month. We're playing Friday night of this week at a place called Revolution, but billiards and darts and used to be Fast Eddie's. But I mean, I've had some I just lead sang with a group called the Diplomatic Immunity Band, and they've been around for 20 years. They started in Slovakia with a U.S. ambassador, Todd Sedgwick, and they wanted to reunite, and they didn't have their lead singer because he was in Israel. He couldn't leave. So they found me through Ron Newmeyer, who obviously is big in the area with Bandhouse gigs. He's a good buddy of mine, and Matthew Morey. Anyway, I went and sang with this band and played in Louisville and played at the Metropolitan Club in DC. So my midlife cover band guy life has exploded. I'm in a duo with my partner Suzanne, playing JVs 2 days before Christmas. So it's been an amazing run. And look, music, there's nothing like it. And I can't tell you how excited I am for you coming through with all this musical life. And then, why don't I play with the son of a legend is great in himself. But look, keep in close touch, and we will definitely talk later.
Steve, thanks so much. I will.
Oh man, I can't wait to hear what happens, Robert Gabriel, with your tour and your time with John Paycheck. God, that's exciting stuff. And what a great life. I mean, if you look at it, what a neat life with those incredible parents, with musical bones, and giving him music, then meeting his lovely wife, he's been with for years now, and have triplets, and the triplets are in college. And look what you get to do now. You get to go on tour. So I can't wait to hear more about it. Robert Gabriel, please, let's keep in close touch. Everybody, join Living on Music on Facebook if you're not already there. Just go on and become a member. You don't get pinged over and over and over all the time. It's just when things are important and fun. And then also go to YouTube and subscribe. And that's only getting notified when we do these kinds of Living on Music episodes. And Those are a lot of fun, and I think you'll enjoy it being a music fans. And if you're a podcaster, the show is a visual show with video and stills and embellishments for the guests, but it can also be a podcast. So you can go to Spreaker, and then on the right there on any major podcast, you can go to Living on Music with Steve Houck and find it there. And I think you'll enjoy the listening to us talk as well as viewing, if that's what you love to do. Once again, Robert Gabriel, keep me in touch with you and John Paycheck on this tour. That sounds incredible. Maybe I could have John Paycheck on Living on Music sometime. I would love to do that. And until then, everybody, whether you're feeling up, feeling down, somewhere in the middle, it always is an advantage to keep living on music.